Hey guys, Jonathan Soda here, and today we will not be doing a movie review. Today we'll be doing something that I haven't done in a pretty long time, and I haven't done since my first video that I ever did. Today we will be doing a book review, and today the book we will be reviewing is It by Stephen King. Now, I have a copy of it, but one of my friend's coworker's daughters is borrowing it because like she's been getting really bored during COVID, so I was kind enough to let her borrow my It book and the Stand book. So yeah, and like I hear that she's mostly been reading it, and like her mother told me that she was like more than halfway done with the book. So yeah, so I'm guessing she might be on page 700 or something like that. So yeah, the copy I own of it has like the movie cover from the first movie with like the black and like Pennywise giving the balloon to Georgie. So yeah, yeah. But today we'll be reviewing that book, and the plot of the book. You all might already know the plot of the book, especially because you've seen the movie too. But I'll just real quick say the plot. The plot is that seven kids band together. Seven losers, like they're outcasts of school, and yeah, they band together to try to kill this shape-shifting clown creature that's been living under Derry, like in the sewers of Derry for a really long time, for like millions of years. So yeah, so like since then it's been hunting, stalking, and killing and eating Derry, like all the kids in it. And so like these seven kids like are seeing that that's happening, so like they want to do something about it, and they want to kill the clown. So they actually they do confront the clown, and they defeat him, but he does not die. 27 years later, the clown comes back when the kids are all adults. So then the kids have to go back to the town of Derry to go and kill the clown for real. So yeah. What else is there? Yeah. Now, do I like Stephen King's It? Yes, I love Stephen King's It. I love this book so much. This is actually my favorite book of all time. Actually, uh, let me think. Yeah, this is my favorite book of all time. Actually, like this book is like probably the first like real novel that I've ever read. Actually, because like before I read It, I was like reading Goosebumps, but Goosebumps aren't really regarded as novels. They're more regarded as books. So yeah, but like it was actually the first full length novel that I ever read, and like it was 1,000 pages long, and it took me the first time I read it. It took me like a couple months to finish it, but I loved it since. The reason why I wanted to read the book was because I was a really big fan of the old movies that came out in that around that time, because I actually read the book when I was like 11 years old. I got it like on November of 2016, and I read it, and like I didn't finish it till like March or April of 2017. So yeah, and I actually read it before the remake movie came out. So yeah, and it wasn't until I was done finishing the book that I knew that they were making a remake of it. So yeah, and I was really excited for the remake. So yeah, and I still love the old movie so much. Not yeah, but like yeah, I still love the old movie a lot. But I know that like there's a lot of stuff that it did not take from the book, and like it was not much faithful to the book, but I still really love it as its own. So yeah, I will review that tomorrow. So yeah, what else was I gonna say? Yeah, and I'll review the new movie tomorrow too, which the new movie actually did it will become a lot more faithful to the book than the miniseries did. So yeah, the old movie is actually the main reason that got me to want to read the book. So yeah, and once I read this book, I was in shock. Like I was like, this book is the greatest book I've ever read. This is far better than all those Goosebumps books I read. And then after it, that's what made me get into Stephen King. And I think nowadays Stephen King has become my most preferred author. Like he's the only author I go back to read books from. I read a lot of other books from other authors, but if they're based off like one of my favorite movies, or like movies that I really loved, like Jaws and let me see, and the Disaster Artist. So yeah, let me think. So yeah, I really love reading Stephen King. He's probably my favorite author, actually. So yeah, let's talk about the book. Now the book is amazing, actually. I love this book to death. This book, I love it. And by the way, I'm not showing a lot of expression. I know I show a lot of expression with a lot of my other videos, but my mom is sleeping right now. If she hears me doing another review, she's gonna get up and really get mad. So yeah, she's gonna, yeah, so like I'm trying not really hard not to wake her up, because like she really has to sleep because she woke up at 5 a.m. today to do exercise with a friend of hers. So yeah, let me think. Yeah, so talking about the book. Now, this book is amazing. I think I've said it enough. Yeah, it's just spectacular. I love it. It's such a masterpiece. So yeah, let me think. Let's talk about the characters in this book. I love all the characters in this book. The Losers Club are probably one of my favorite set of characters ever. I think they're my second favorite group of kids. No, they're actually my favorite group of characters in a novel, actually. And I love the Losers Club so much, and they're probably my second favorite kids group of kids in film history, right next to Stranger Things. So yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else I should say? Yeah, Bill. I love. Let's start off with talking about Bill Denbrough. Bill Denbrough is such an amazing character. I love Bill Denbrough. He was really good. Bill Denbrough. He has a stutter. He has a stutter. He doesn't really talk. He can't talk very well. So yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, Bill Denbrough, and also Bill Denbrough is I think he's the leader of the Losers Club. So yeah. Bill Denbrough, he has a stutter, but he really gets along with kids though, and since he has his stutter, he's a really big target for bullies. So yeah. And then there is what's his name? We're still talking about Bill. And then Bill, he's the one that really wants to kill the clown more than anyone else does, cause the clown killed his younger brother. The clown killed his younger brother while he was sick and all of that. So yeah, let me think. Yeah, that's actually how the book began. Was with his brother Georgie getting killed by the clown. So yeah, so he's the one that really wants to kill the clown. So yeah, and he has this silver bike that he always rides that he calls Silver, and he thinks Silver beats the devil. He thinks that Silver's a shield for the devil and all of that, because Silver he drives Silver really fast. Silver is this really big bike that's too big for his height. So yeah, and he just yeah, he thinks Silver really helps him out and all of that, because it helps out a lot of other things too. There's this scene in the book where Eddie's inhaler ran out, and he was running out of breath, and then he uses Silver, and he rides it really full speed and gets his inhaler from Mr. Keenan, then goes back in just the nick of time, and even Ben is wow, that took so fast. So yeah, and then Silver, he even uses Silver a couple more times in the book, when he's running away from Pennywise on Neibolt Street with Richie. Silver really helps him out with getting away from it, and having Pennywise get weaker. So yeah, the Silver bike was really cool. So yeah, I loved his Silver bike a lot. So yeah. And then he uses it in the end of the book in this really beautiful scene, which I will not get into if you haven't seen which I will not get into if you haven't read the book. So yeah, but I'm pretty sure if you guys seen the old movie, it ends the exact same way as the old movie. So yeah, let me think. What else is there? Let me think. Is there anything else I should say? Let me think. Well, Bill, just Bill, he also has this, speech. He throws his fist against the post and still insists he sees the ghost. That speech was, really strong, too, so, yeah. Okay, as you can tell, I'm filming this at a completely different time, because, yesterday, I was getting really tired and my eyes were, closing by themselves a lot when I was recording that review last night, so, yeah, here I am continuing the review, so, yeah. Let me think. What else? What was I talking about? I was talking about Bill. Yeah, I was talking about Bill with the silver bike. Yeah, that was really beautiful. So, yeah. Let me think. Was there anything else I was talking about? Yeah, Bill was just a really strong character. And is there anything else I should talk about with Bill? Besides the silver bike, what else is there? Yeah, you can really buy his friendship a lot with a lot of these kids, and the one he's the most close with, and the one he's really loves the most is Richie, I think. So yeah, and I really like his like friend relationship with Richie a lot. So yeah, and just like all the scenes with like him with the kids, like he's really helpful with them and he's really kind to them. So yeah, uh, let me think. Is there anything else about Bill I should say? Yeah, just Bill, and he was a really strong character towards the and towards the end of the novel, he became a really really strong character, and I'll get to that I think later on in the review. But yeah, let's talk before we talk more about the Losers Club. I just want to say Pennywise. Holy fuck! In this book, he is fucking terrifying. Like literally, like every scene with him, every scene where he shows up, he is terrifying. Like terrifying as fuck. Like he even gives you nightmares. Like when I was reading this book, I was getting nightmares from a lot of the scenes that were in this book involving Pennywise. They're all so scary. Like that scene with in the beginning with Georgie was really scary. A lot of the scenes with him after that are really scary too. Like the scene where like he's in the icy canal like talking to Ben, and then he's like walking towards him on the ice, but like he doesn't even appear a shadow, and like while he's walking toward him he morphs into a mummy, and it's just like holy shit, that's fucking scary. And then like when he's a mummy and he's closer to Ben, he tries to grab Ben, but then Ben quickly runs away once he hears the dairy bell. So yeah, let me think. Yeah, and there was this other really terrifying scene with Pennywise, which was probably one of the most terrifying scenes in this whole book, was the scene with Eddie Corcoran. Now, Eddie Corcoran, he's not Eddie Kaspbrak, he's not the Eddie from the Losers Club. This book has a lot of character development, actually. Like, besides the Losers Club, there's a lot of character development in this book. Like, not just the losers, but like a lot of the minor characters in this book have their own character development too, and like their own backstory. That's really really awesome, actually, and that's really clever. Stephen King really had a very awesome vision with making this book. So yeah, a lot of these minor characters have a lot of backstory in them, and they're not even important to the story that much, but their backstory is still really cool. So yeah, and there was this whole chapter dedicated to Eddie Corcoran, like this whole chapter like dedicated to Eddie Corcoran and Mike Hanlon. So yeah, and this chapter like with Eddie Corcoran, we learn a lot about Eddie Corcoran, that he gets abused all the time by his stepfather, and like I believe his stepfather like beat up his little brother to death, Reggie Corcoran. Yeah, it was Reggie Corcoran. Like I believe he the stepfather actually killed to the little brother. So yeah, and that was really scary. So yeah, and then like Eddie Corcoran, he's just really depressed about it. He just really hates his life. And then one day, like I think it was during the nighttime, he like goes over to the canal, and then next thing you know, like this big like reptile creature, which is Pennywise, morphed into a reptile creature, which was the kid's like worst fear in a movie. So yeah, it was like a movie, I forgot what it was called, but like it's this big reptile creature that he's morphed into. Oh wait, no. It wasn't the reptile creature he turned into. At first, when he comes out of the water, he turns into Reggie, actually. He turns into his little brother Reggie, and it's really scary. Like Reggie like all eaten up and all beaten up and like all bloody and like dismembered and all of that, and like he's all wet and all of that, and he's like walking towards Eddie, and like Eddie's just really really scared, and he hides behind one of the trees in the dairy like near the canal. I think it was like in the Barrens too, because like it was in the park, actually. He hides behind one of the woods in the park, and then like as soon as he thinks he's safe, like the Pennywise appears again, but as the reptile creature, and then like he's really scared, so he like falls down, and then like once he falls down, Pennywise like kneels down on him. He stabs his throat, like he gets his claws, he stabs his throat, and then boom, he takes his head off like that. Like by stabbing his throat, like boom, the head fell off like that, and that was really really scary. So yeah, that scene gave me nightmares a lot, and yeah, that scene alone was just really scary and really gives you chills too. So yeah, that scene was just really scary. So yeah, and there were more minor characters that had some character development too, which I'll get to later on in the review. So yeah. Let me think. Yeah, let me think of another really terrifying scene involving Pennywise. Oh yeah, just to let you know, I forgot to mention this. This review will contain spoilers for the book, so if you haven't read the book, just leave the review. So yeah, please read the book. I highly suggest you all check it out. So yeah, let me think. What else was I gonna say? What else was I saying? Oh yeah, Pennywise. There was also there's a lot of stuff from there are a lot of stuff in the book, like in the new movie and in the old movie too. So yeah, but like I feel like they're done a lot better in the book actually than in the movie. So yeah, let me think. What else is there? What else is another terrifying scene for Pennywise? Yeah, there's this really terrifying scene with Pennywise where like Bill like sees like Georgie's. This was in the movie too, the old movie where like Georgie's album, like it's a picture of Georgie in his school yearbook in an album, and then like it winks at him, and then like and then Bill throws it, and then like a bunch of blood comes out. So yeah, that scene was really terrifying too. And then in the book, Bill decides to share it with Richie, like saying that, like, Richie, like, I saw something, like, in the book and all that, and Richie's just like, are you sure? And, like, Richie's just, like, doing, like, all this stuff, like, are you sure it's not your imagination and all that, if it's really Georgie's ghost haunting you, let's go and check it out. Like, he's still willing to check it out. And that's another thing about this book, too, is that all the characters in this book, like, are like that's I think that's the main theme of this movie actually, is like a lot of these characters like willing to like fight monsters, and like willing to see what monsters do, and like willing to see any paranormal activity that happens, any scary shit that happens. They're willing to see it right away. Like they don't even care, like they just will to see it right away. And that's a really beautiful theme that this book has. But I'll get more into that theme later on in the review. Let me think. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, Bill like shares the album to Richie, and then like he shows him a picture of like of Derry, like old Derry in the 1930s, I think, of the canal and like the all that. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention like the kid part. Like the book actually has a much different timeline than the movies do. The timeline from when they're kids is 1958, and the timeline to when they're adults is 1984 or 1985. 1985, yeah. Yeah, and then like the timeline's just really different. So like the kid part takes place in the 50s, but like I think the album he shows them like is in the 1930s or something like that. And then like the album like starts moving and all of that, and like he they're still holding it, and they're really in shock that it's moving, and like the Model Ts are moving and all of that. And then you see Pennywise in the canal and all of that. Like I think he's like dancing or something like that, and then like he like I think he comes out of the water, and like he actually goes outside of the album. Like no, he doesn't go outside the album. Like Bill like puts his like without thinking just puts his fingers inside the album. Like he doesn't even know what he's doing. He's just putting his fingers in the album, and then next thing you know, like Pennywise from the album scratches Bill on his all over his fingers, and they're bleeding so much. And that scene was really terrifying too. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else terrifying with Pennywise? Let me think. There was this other scene that I think was in the book with the leper in the Nebo house, but like the Nebo house, like the entry to the Nebo house, like the kid's main entry to the Nebo house is the porch, like the broken porch from the basement. So yeah, from the cellar of the Nebo house is like this broken porch that they go through. Like they go through the broken porch that leads to the cellar, and that's the main entry. And then like I think Eddie like crawls in there like once, and then like the leper. This was actually a pretty weird scene actually, but like with the leper, the dialogue was much different than in the movie. Like the leper is telling Eddie, like, because all of you know that Eddie's afraid of germs, and that's his worst fear. So yeah, like in that scene, the leper's like, Eds, do you want a blowjob, Eds? Bobby does it for a dime. He'll do it anytime. 15 cents overtime. And that scene's just kind of weird, but really scary too. So yeah. And then like the leper even like pulls down his tongue, and his tongue is like 3 feet tall. And then he's just walking up to Eddie. He's like, blowjob, Eddie. That scene's just really creepy. So yeah. Let me think. And then I think Eddie like barely manages to escape in that scene. So yeah. Let me think. So let me think. How to? Oh yeah, there's also this really terrifying. Another. There's a lot of weird slash terrifying scenes in this book. Like a lot of them in this. A lot of scenes like that in this book. There's this scene where Mike Hanlon, like it's in the chapter of the Eddie Corcoran chapter. Like Mike Hanlon's like rides his bike to the old Ironworks explosion to just like take a look at it. Like because kids, like he just decides to take a look at the old Ironworks. So yeah, and with the old Ironworks, he goes in there, and then he sees Pennywise as a giant bird, like this like giant bird that is a resemblance to Rodan from Godzilla. So yeah, and then like he turns into Rodan, and like it's really this is really scary with like him as a bird, and like he's just like this giant bird, but like at times it doesn't even look like Rodan. At times it just looks like this really scary bird with like clown makeup, and like its tongue has pom-poms on it, like its giant tongue has pom-poms on it, and it's just really scary. So yeah, and then like that scene was just really scary, and then like Mike's like trying to defend himself by taking pieces of gravel on the floor and throwing it at the bird. He's just really scary. That scene's just really scary. So yeah, let me think, is there anything else about let me think. Is there any other scene that really terrifies me? Oh yeah, Pennywise turns into a werewolf a lot in this book. That was in the old movie too, but it was only just one scene in the movie. But yeah, but in this book, like he turns into a werewolf like so many times in the book, and it is really scary when he turns into a werewolf. Like there's this one scene where like only Bill and Richie are willing to go and fight it, just them two to fight it. They go in there, like they try to fight it, but like they try to fight it, like Bill like brings like his father's pistol and he tries to shoot him, but like it's not even hurting him at all. So yeah, let me think. What else is there? Like that scene was just really scary. Like and later on in that scene, Bill implies that he did not see the werewolf, that he just saw the clown. But like Richie was the one that saw the werewolf. So yeah, and that scene was definitely on Richie's perspective too. So yeah, and that scene was just really terrifying in the Nebo house. Like that whole scene just takes place in the cellar. So yeah, and then like they just leave, and like this was the silver bike moment I was telling you earlier in the review. So yeah, and that scene was just really scary, and like and then like there's pom poms on like on the werewolf's like chest. So yeah, that scene was just really scary. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else? Let me think. What else is there from Pennywise? Oh yeah, and this scene was in the book too, where it was Pennywise with the blood coming out of the drain of the faucet drain. So yeah, that scene was pretty scary too. Let me think. Let me think, what else is there about Pennywise? Oh yeah, there's this really, really scary scene with Stanley in the standpipe. This scene was in the old movie, but like the form that Pennywise made was not it was in the old movie, but like it was not a standpipe. It was like this mansion, but I think the scene in the old movie was actually a bit more scary than the scene in the book. So yeah, like with Stanley like going in the house and like seeing the werewolf in the house. So yeah, that scene was pretty well done in the movie, but in the book like Stanley goes inside the standpipe, and then like circus music starts playing like randomly, like so randomly when he goes inside the standpipe, like circus music like dun, 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 dun. Yeah, yeah, it's just really scary. And then like on the stairs of the standpipe, like two dead drowned boys are coming out of the stairs, and they're telling Stan like, we all float down here, Stan, come down here with us, and all of that. And that scene was just really scary. And in that scene like Stan like, because during that scene like Stan was like watching birds with his father, I think. So yeah, and then like Stan like holds the book in front of him and like a shield and says all the names of the birds he could remember: Warning Finch, Spicklesbury, Baltimore, Hammerhead Woodpecker, Woodpeckers, all that. Yeah, that scene was really scary. And then like he barely manages to make it out. Like he barely manages to open the door because like he couldn't open the door with the two dead boys in front of him. So like he barely manages to make it out. But then the two dead boys are still willing to come out. Their legs appear out of the door, and then Stan is still saying those names while he's laying on the grass outside the standpipe. So yeah, that scene was really scary. So yeah, let me think. I think that's all I have to talk about with Pennywise for now. Just Pennywise was just scary, actually. Wait, no. Actually, no, I changed my mind. That's not all I have to talk about Pennywise. We got a lot of backstory to Pennywise in this book. Like Pennywise as it, like we get like backstory to it. Like there's this one terrifying scene which is one of my favorite scenes in this entire book. I almost said movie. So yeah, where like the kids like decide to build a smoke hole ceremony under underground, like, cause like I believe this was in the second part of the It movie that came out recently, where like the kids like build like this underground like hideout, and like when they did that, like they decided to build a smoke hole ceremony so they could get a vision of something important, and then like all the kids like cuz like the smoke like is really like taking your breath away and all of that, and like it's suffocating you, so like a lot of the kids just give up and leave there, but like the two kids that like still managed to stay there are Richie and Mike, and they both get a vision of how it came to Earth. This scene was really scary, where like they get a vision of how it came to Earth. Like they're in the dinosaur times, and like the Kenduski Grail is like filled with fish and all of that, and it's never been filled with fish in such a long time. Like during like not like it was never filled with fish until like the 1700s actually. So yeah, so like it's filled with fish, and then like there's like the barrens, like, cause like a lot of you know the barrens are like the main hideout to where the losers hang out, the woods. So yeah, the barrens like actually like look more prettier now, and like the grass looks more cleaner, and like a lot of this stuff like it's like the dinosaur times, and like a lot of the fish in the Kenduski Grail like look like fish they've never seen before. So yeah, and then like all of a sudden like there's this asteroid in the sky coming, and then like it falls. Like the asteroid like is like slowly coming in bolts of lightning too, and like bolts of fire and all that. It's just really scary. So yeah, and then like Mike and Richie are just really freaked out about this, and then they run away, like they're running at full speed in their vision, and then like they fall, and then like I think Richie leaves Mike behind. He's like, Mike, and then like there's like this really big explosion. Like they hear this really big explosion when its meteor fell to the floor. So yeah, like, and then like after that they explain that and then after that they wake up. So yeah, that scene was just really scary. So yeah, and then like they explained that whole like must have like gone away from the ice age and all this other stuff. So yeah, let me think. Oh yeah, and a comedic moment in that scene was when like Beverly like woke up from was starting to wake up. Beverly was the one to wake up Richie, and in that scene, like Beverly like stutters. She's like, you kind of puked a bit, but I turned you around because I was afraid you might choke on it. And then Bill was like, hey, no fair. I thought I was the only one that stuttered around here. Yeah, that scene was pretty funny. So yeah. Let me think. Yeah, it definitely had a really cool backstory. And then in the part where the kids are adults, like Beverly like in the scene with Mrs. Kirsch, which was in the Bowles movie. So yeah, like the scene with Mrs. Kirsch, like once Pennywise is done morphing into Mrs. Kirsch and Beverly's dad, he turns into him as the clown, and he's holding all these balloons saying that it came from outer space, and then it tells Beverly like, I am an alien, I am the only survivor of a dying planet, I came here to eat all the children, rape all the men, and slaughter all the women. And that scene was just really scary. So yeah, that whole Mrs. Kirsch scene was really scary. It was one of the scariest scenes in the book. So yeah. Yeah, that scene was just really terrifying, like, cause in that scene, like, that the whole apartment is like filled with like the witch's house from Hansel and Gretel, with like the floors made out of chocolate and all of that. And yeah, that scene was just really weird / creepy. So yeah, let me think. Yeah, just like it had a really cool backstory in this, and yeah, and in the book it is implied that like his final form behind everything cannot be seen by a human. Like his final form behind the spider, behind everything, cannot be seen by a human, because their minds won't be able to get it. They won't be able to understand it. So yeah, and that's really cool too. But the only one to see Pennywise's form behind the spider is Beverly's husband. Like this was a really crazy scene where like Beverly when they're adults, like the Beverly's husband follows Beverly to Derry because he wants to beat the shit out of Beverly, because he knows that Beverly's like gonna cheat on her or something like that. So he's really eager on like following Beverly. So yeah, and then like another person like follows them to the town too, which was Bill's wife. So yeah, because like Bill's wife was really concerned on like how like traumatized Bill looked and how scared Bill looked, wanting to go back to Derry. So like she decided to follow Bill to see what was so concerning and all of that, and what was scaring him. So yeah, and then in that scene, during that scene, like when they right away make it to Derry and go to the Derry townhouse, Tom is gonna go try to like beat the shit out of Beverly and look for her. But then before he can ever do that, Pennywise controls him with the deadlights. Like there's this balloon hanged on the doorknob of the closet of the hotel room, and then it grows lights, and then that's what controls Tom to capture Audra, Bill's wife, and take her to the sewers and for a trap for Bill. So yeah, once he does that, once he brings her to the sewers, like Tom is like really confused on what he's been doing and all of that, and then like all of a sudden he sees its true form behind the spider, behind everything, and then he dies like that. He dies from shock, and that scene was so crazy and so scary. So yeah, just Tom dies in that scene. So yeah, that scene was really terrifying, and that's one scene that I really wish they could have put in It Chapter 2. So yeah, let me think. Yeah, that scene was just really chilling. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else I should say about Pennywise? I think that was a lot of his backstory, and like in the end, he turned into the spider. Yeah, to when they're fighting as kids and when they're fighting him as adults. So yeah, he always takes the form as a spider. So yeah, cause like spiders are everyone's worst fear, even adults too. So yeah, let me think. Yeah, and in those scenes, like, it's this really weird scene, really weird / creepy scene of it, like, his true form, like, with deadlights, like, it has these deadlights where he can, like, once people see them, they go into this place called the Macroverse, the Void, the Macroverse. So yeah, it's this other interdimensional dimension of like this whole, like, just this whole blank black room of a dimension. He's just in there. You're just in there when you're just in there, and you hear like Pennywise talking to you through your mind and all of that, and you like, and then like the closer you get in the Macroverse, the closer your soul like becomes with this Macroverse. So yeah, that was just really scary. Just the Macroverse was really scary. So yeah, let me think. What else is there about the Macroverse that I should think about? Yeah, and then like in the ending of the book, this was the really big character moment I was talking about. Bill like goes inside the Macroverse. Like he's the only one to go inside the Macroverse. All the other kids are just like right there just watching. And then like he goes inside the Macroverse, and then like he's talking to it like through his mind and all of that, and like he found out a way to defeat it, and like he's talking through his mind, and then he's talking to the turtle through his mind too. The turtle is this like this thing like called, it's basically God of this dimension. Most of you are probably confused if you stayed on the spoiler side, if you didn't leave the spoiler side. So yeah, and if you didn't read the book, but yeah, let me think. Yeah, it's just like this turtle, like he's God, like he basically like puked the whole earth when he had a stomach ache. So yeah, and like when Bill even talks to the turtle through his mind too, and like the turtle was being kind of a jerk in that scene. Like he was just like, there's no he's telling him a lot of stuff, and like the turtle even cussed at Bill too. So like I thought he was being a bit of a jerk in that scene. I forgot what he says in that scene, but I know that he said that he had a bellyache, was making the earth, and like he had galaxies on his foot and on his toes and all that. So yeah, the turtle was a really cool thing too. And then like the turtle like helps Bill defeat it as a kid. Like he tells him to use the ritual of Chud. If you guys remember, the ritual of Chud was when you bite its tongue with your imagination. So yeah, when you like bite its tongue with your imagination and you tell him a riddle and you have to make him laugh, and that defeats him. So yeah, and like the turtle tells him to use the ritual of Chud, and then Bill bites down really hard on its tongue with his imagination. And that scene was really weird / creepy / awesome / amazing. So yeah, I love that scene so much. And then like Pennywise is really injured, like he's really getting hurt and really getting defeated in that scene. So yeah, and once that scene happens, like Bill is like telling him a riddle, he thrusts his fist against the post and still says he sees the ghost. So yeah, and I love that line a lot, and they use that line a little bit throughout the movie. So yeah, and they mostly use it in the 1990s miniseries. So yeah, let me think. What else was there? Yeah, and then like that riddle makes Pennywise laugh, and that defeats him, and that makes him like run away. That makes Bill come out of the Macroverse and makes him run away. Like that makes Pennywise run away, and then Bill was like, no, we have to finish the job. We have to go and chase after him. And then they're like, no. He sounded like he was dying. He's dying. He's dead, all right. He sounds like he's dying. Then he's like, and then he's just really hesitant. He's just like, well, I'm all right then. He sounds like he's dying, and then like when they get out of the sewers. Wait, I don't want to talk about the scene right now, but you guys know what I'm talking about, but I'll get into it later on in the review when I talk more about the character. So yeah, I think that's all about Pennywise, and then like later on, when Pennywise comes back as it, he's even more terrifying too. Let me think. Yeah, a lot of the scenes in the oh yeah, there was this let me talk about one more scene that I really liked in the It book. The scene, I think it was in the movie too, but like Richie saw it in the library in the movie, but in the book it was Ben that saw it in the library, and like he's just like making fun of Ben and all of that and just mocking him, and then like he turns into Dracula, and that scene was pretty scary too. So yeah. Let me think. What else is there? What else was I saying? Let me think. What else is there? Oh yeah, and then we get to. We'll talk more about the Losers Club now. Enough talking about Pennywise for now. Then there is Ben Hanscom. Which Ben Hanscom, he's like this fat kid. He's this fat kid that always gets picked on for being fat, and like and he's just he's this fat kid, and he has a really big crush on one of the losers, Beverly Marsh. So yeah, he has a really big crush on her, and he writes her a poem, Your hair is winter fire, January embers, my heart burns there too. So yeah, that was a really cute poem, and so he writes it to Beverly, and like Beverly doesn't even know it was Ben that wrote it. So yeah. Let me think. Yeah, Ben was a really cool character too. He was really cute at times too, and he was really funny too. So yeah. Yeah, it's just I love all the scenes with him like describing that he loves eating ding dongs and like Twinkies and all of that. So yeah, and I love that scene when this was in the movie too, where like Henry writes an H on Ben's stomach, and then like he was originally gonna carve his whole name on his stomach, but then Ben kicks Henry in the balls and then like falls back and then goes. And then like hides from him in this cylinder, like this sewer cylinder. So yeah, let me think. In the sewer. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else about Ben I should say? Ben. Let me think. Ben also like he had a lot of cool moments too in the book too. Let me think. Is there anything else I should talk about Ben? Yeah, Ben was just really cute, and and I love how like he always wanted to be in architecture, and like he was the one that like helped the losers build the dam, because like towards the beginning of the book, like the losers want to build a dam in the Barrens, and so like Ben was the one that really made the dam succeed, because like he knew a lot about architecture and all of that, and like he drew him a skit on the mud on how they will do the dam, and then like the next day they did the dam, and I love that scene so much where they build that dam together, and that's the first scene where it shows that these kids are really big of a group, and they love each other, and they really that's the number one scene. That was a perfect beginning start for the Losers Club altogether. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else about Ben I should say? Yeah, I just love how like Ben like he chooses to like help them fight it too. So yeah. Is there anything else about Ben I should say? I love that nickname that Richie always gives him, Haystack Calone. Yeah, that scene was that's really funny. So yeah. And Henry always calls him Tits, and he called him that in the movie too. So yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else I should say about Ben that I really like? I think that's all about Ben for now. Oh yeah, I'll talk about Ben as an adult too. I forgot to talk about Bill as an adult too. Ben as an adult, he changed a lot as an adult too, and he was really cool as an adult. As an adult, he lost weight. He lost so much weight, and he became so skinny. So yeah, and then like as an adult, he becomes like a full on architecture, and he's just really good with architecture, and he becomes rich as an adult too. So yeah, and I just love his life as an adult. And once he comes back to Derry, he remembers everything about Beverly, that he had a crush on her, and he continues to have a crush on her as an adult too. So yeah. Just let me think, is there anything else about Ben? Oh yeah, I love that scene in the Chinese restaurant when they're adults, and then Ben tells him how he lost all his weight. It was when he was like in high school, I think. He wanted to join the track team, but the coach wouldn't let him, and then like Ben was like, well, you listen to me, you stubborn son of a bitch. I'm gonna run this track, and I'll be the best student you ever had, and all this stuff. And then like Ben really wanted to join the track, so like he was exercising so much, like he was running like full speed so much, and he was running like fields and all of that, like all over the city and all of that, and like he was just running without stopping. He was running like there was no other, and then like he would run, and then he would puke, and then faint, and then like he said he was eating salad like there was no tomorrow and all of that. So yeah, and I just love that scene so much where he describes how he lost his weight. So yeah, let me think. And then once he loses all his weight, he goes to the coach, and then the coach he says the coach is really shocked and all of that, and he faints and all of that. So yeah, and then he tells him that like the coach like is now willing to let him like join the track, and he becomes the best student in the team. So yeah, that scene was just really cool. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else about Ben I should say? Anything else more about Ben I should talk about? So let me think. Yeah, Ben. Yeah, I just really love Ben a lot, and I love I forgot to mention this when he was a kid. He always loved going to the library and all of that, and reading a lot. So yeah, that was really cool too. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else I should say about Ben? Yeah, I think that's all about Ben. Yeah, Ben was a really cool character too. And then we go to Eddie Kaspbrak. Now Eddie Kaspbrak, he's one of my favorite characters in the Losers Club. So yeah, and I can easily relate to Eddie Kaspbrak so much. Like I think he's the one I can most relate to actually, cause Eddie Kaspbrak, he's like really short. He's like shorter than a lot of other kids his age, and then like he even like he has like this like food. He has like this like he has a lot of anxiety, and like what else is there? And he's always taking medication and all of that, and he's like convinced that he has asthma and all of that. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else about Eddie? Yeah, I think, and then like Eddie's just like a bit wimpy at times. So yeah, I really like Eddie a lot. And then like he's also a victim of an overbearing mother. Now his mother is really overprotective on him. Like his mother actually Eddie's fine actually. Like Eddie does not have asthma at all. Like his mother is the one that convinces Eddie that he's sick, and she convinces him that like he's so frail and he's so delicate and he can't do all these things and all of that. So yeah, and then he's just like. And then like she's just really overprotective on her, and she babies him all the time, and like she always like wants him to kiss him in the cheek and kiss her in the cheek and all of that. So yeah, and then like what else is there? And then he's always like telling the pharmacist to like give Eddie these pills and all of that, but the medication and all the medication he has are just placebos. They're just like in water that for with the vaccine to make it taste like medicine. So yeah, let me think. And then like yeah, they're all just placebos and all of that. So yeah, that was he was just really cool. So yeah, and like his mother, you can really tell that his mother's like really protective on him. So yeah, and that's another thing I could relate with Eddie too. Is like my mother's not overprotective, but she's pretty protective on me. Like she's really protective on me, but I still love her though. She's really protective on me, but like she still really loves me and wants the greatest for me. So yeah, and I still really love her. So yeah, she's nowhere near as overprotective as Eddie's mom, but she is somewhat overprotective. Like she doesn't let me do a lot of stuff and all of that. So sorry, I choked on my spit. Like she doesn't let me do a lot of stuff, but I still really love her though. So yeah, I can easily relate to Eddie a lot in this book. So yeah, let me think. Yeah, I can relate to all these losers actually, except for Ben and Mike. I can relate to a lot of these losers. I can actually relate to Ben a lot actually, and Mike too. So yeah, I forgot. I can very much relate to a lot of these characters in these books, and and a lot of the times when I'm reading this book, I forgot to mention, I don't even feel like I'm reading a book at all. Like, at times I feel like I'm actually in Derry and living with these children and growing up with these children and literally, like, being friends with them, too. And, like, yeah, that's how much I love this book. That's how much, like this book is so good that it makes you feel like you're inside it. So, yeah, let me think, yeah, so that's a really good thing about the book too, is like you can easily relate to the characters too. So yeah, the characters I can very much relate to. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else about Henry? And then Eddie. And then when Eddie grows up, he becomes kind of the same. Like he's still afraid of germs and all of that. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention too that he's really afraid of germs. So yeah. And then like Eddie's just like really afraid of germs, and then like he doesn't live with his mom anymore. He has another wife, but she's exactly like his mom. Like she's overprotective on Eddie. She treats Eddie like she's his own and all of that. And she has the exact same attitude and personality that his mom had, and like the same body weight too. So yeah, Myra was a lot like Eddie's mom. So yeah, that was a really emotional moment just for him to like get married with like someone that was a lot like his mother. So yeah, and then and then what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Eddie's mom. Let me talk about the kid part. Eddie's mom also doesn't let him like join a lot with PE and all of that because she's really protective on him. So yeah, let me think. Yeah, Eddie as an adult too. Like he's kind of the same, but like he has a job too. I forgot what his job was, but like towards like the beginning of the book where it shows you hit with Myra. Like Myra has like this business thing where she has to meet up with Al Pacino and all of that. So yeah, and she's really like she really doesn't want Eddie to go because like she wants her to stay and help her out with the Pacino stuff and all of that. But like Eddie's like it's fine. You can take care of Pacino yourself and all of that. So yeah, and then like yeah, I really love that scene a lot. And then like Eddie like as an adult he's kind of the same. He's still afraid of the same thing. So yeah, so as an adult he's very much the same. So yeah. Yeah, Eddie was a really cool character too, so yeah. And then we go on to Richie Tozier. Richie Tozier is probably my favorite character in this entire book. So yeah, I love Richie so much. Like literally what Richie is, like he's nerdy, he's geeky, he wears glasses, he's a class clown and all of that. And yeah, he's just really funny. He's really, really funny in this book. He loves doing voices too. Let me think. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I blacked out right there. But yeah, but what else was I saying? Sorry, I'm blacking out again. Sorry, but Richie, he also does voices too. Let me think. Yeah, Richie does a lot of voices too, and like, yeah, just Richie, like, he loves doing voices a lot, but, like, as a kid, like, his voices, like, don't always work. Like, a lot of his voices, like, sound the same and all of that. But as an adult, though, it really improves on him, and he becomes known as the man of 1,000 voices on the radio and on Hollywood. So, yeah, yeah, Richie was a really cool character with his voices. He was really funny with his characters, making a lot of his voices, like, making Irish cop voices and all of that, making, I forgot what the other voices were called, but like all the voices had their own names too. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else about him? Yeah, he's really funny too. Like he has a lot of comedic moments, and he was always making jokes a lot with the losers, like very unnecessary jokes. Like he's always making stereotypical Jewish jokes to Stanley all the time, and that's really funny. So yeah. Let me think. And then, like, he's always calling people nicknames. Like, he calls Richie, Mr. Haystack, and then he's calling Beverly Miss Scarlet. And I love that nickname so much for Beverly. So, yeah. That nickname is just the perfect nickname for Beverly. And I catch myself calling some girls that, too, sometimes. So, yeah. And I really wish they could have put that in the movie, but they didn't, sadly. But yeah, I really, really love that nickname a lot that Richie gave to all these kids. So yeah, and Richie, like, Richie had like a pretty good like life. Like he didn't have a dark life. He just lived normally with his parents. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else I should say about Richie? So yeah, Richie, like, he was the one with like the greatest of the lives out of all of them, but he still got picked on a lot for being geeky and all of that and being annoying and weird. So yeah, and I can relate to Richie too because I do voices sometimes and I act really geeky at times. So yeah. And let me think. Yeah, Richie was really funny. Just like all the scenes with him, like he just has a lot of comedic moments, and he's probably the funniest part of this entire book. So yeah, he's just really funny. So yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else about Richie I should say? Yeah, as an adult, he becomes like a radio show host, and he goes on TV as a comedian, and yeah, and he becomes like a big Hollywood star as an adult. So yeah, he has the greatest life out of all of them, I think. So yeah. Well, besides Bill, because he becomes a writer. So yeah. Let me think. I think, well, Richie, yeah, he had a really good life as an adult, and then, like, once he comes back to Derry, like, he's always telling them about, like, all his voices and all of that, and he's, like, making really good voices and all of that, and as an adult, like, he's really scared of going back to Derry and all of that, but, like, in the book, there was this thing in It Chapter 2 where, like, Richie was gay, but it's not in this book at all, and I love that, because I love Richie being straight, and, yeah, let me think, what else is there about Richie as an adult? Is there anything else I should say about Richie? Yeah, Richie's exactly the same as he was as a kid too, but just his voice has got improved more. So yeah, I really loved Richie a lot. So yeah, Let me think. And then there's Beverly Marsh, who is the only girl in the group. She's the only girl in the losers club. So yeah, and like Beverly Marsh, like she was really cool too. Like she's really cool, and she's really sweet with the losers all the time. So yeah, she was just really awesome with a lot of the scenes too. So yeah, she was kind of the most mature one out of all the losers. So yeah, and I love that a lot. She was a girl, but she was the most mature out of all the boys. So yeah, that was really funny. So yeah. Let me think. Yeah, Beverly was just really cool. So yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else about Beverly I should say? Um, yeah, Beverly was just really cool, and she has a really dark life at home. Like her father is like a single father, and like he's always like abusing her like physically and sexually. So yeah, that's just really dark, and like he's always beating her up, like always like punching her for so stupid reasons. So yeah, yeah, she just had a pretty dark backstory. Let me think. Is there anything else about Beverly I should say? Is there anything else about Beverly that I'm missing? Oh yeah, there's a couple more with Beverly too. Like I love like her whole friendship with the Losers Club and all that, and how much she really loves the poem that Ben gave her, and she keeps it in her underwear drawer. So yeah, and also no, Beverly's father's not a single father actually. I remember like she had a mother too, but like her mother was always working and all of that. She barely even got to see her mother and all of that. She was just always working. She would only see her mother like in the mornings and in the night. So yeah, and there was this like one scene with her mother's list where like she really got along with her mother, and she really wished like her mother like stayed with her more than her father. So yeah, and that was really heartwarming and pretty dark too. So yeah, let me think. Anything else about Bev? And Bev, like she was, yeah, like I said, she's the most mature one out of all of them, and she has better aim than all of them do. Like when she's defeating it, like when she shoots the silver slugs at them at the Nebo house, she has better aim than all of them. And yeah, let me think. Yeah, she's just really cool, and she's the one that like let me think. She's the one that like is like what the losers. I love how the losers are always protective on her a lot, because like she's a girl and all of that, and she can't do a lot of stuff. Like they're really protective on her, but Beverly gets so mad when they think that, like when they're building the smoke hole, they're like, Beverly, you should stay out. You should stay out. We don't want you to suffocate there. And she's like, is it because I'm a girl? And she's like, no, it's not that you're a girl. And then they hesitate, and they're like, and then they nod their heads, and then she's like, what? It's because I'm a girl? Don't fucking judge me because I'm a girl. And like she starts doing this like whole, yeah, she starts like getting so mad in that scene. Like she's really pissed. She's like, now don't judge me because I'm a girl. Like please don't just shut me out because I'm a girl. If you keep doing that, I will refuse to be a part of this group. I will never talk to you guys ever again. So yeah, that scene was just really cool and really funny. So yeah, that was a really cool character moment for Bev too. And like Bev, like is there anything else about Bev I should say? Yeah, there's this one infamous scene about Bev that I'm thinking about right now, but like I'm trying to like put that aside for right now and think of other scenes of Bev. So yeah, she's just really sweet with the losers and all of that, and she just is the one to really want it. She's the second person that really wants to kill it the most, right next to Bill. So yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else about Bev? Yeah, I love that scene in the when they first meet Bev, when like they first have Bev in the group. Like Richie's going to watch a movie, I Was a Teenage Werewolf, which is what makes him get his fear of werewolves as Pennywise morphs into. So yeah, like in that scene, Beverly's just like sitting in the bench across the street with like a scar with like a red mark on her cheek, and then he's like, what happened to you and all of that. And then he's like, he has like this yo-yo, and like yo-yos were really popular in the 50s, and like she's like, well, I'll help you like make it sleep and all of that. So yeah, that scene was really cool. And then he's like, well, do you want to go to the movies with me? And then she's like, well, are you asking me on a date? Richie tells her, and then he's like, yeah. Yeah, that scene was really funny and really cute. And then Ben even tagged along with them too, and Ben was like really awkward was Beverly and all that, and really shy. So yeah. Oh yeah, another thing too about Ben is like he's always like trying to like he's always trying not to like show like his whole fat appearance. He's trying really hard not to embarrass himself in front of Bev. So yeah, that was really cute too. So yeah. So like yeah, Richie, like I love that scene so much. And then let me think of another cute scene about Bev. Let me think. Yeah, that scene with the blood was really horrifying. And then like I love that scene where like most of the losers like go in the Beverly's house and like help her clean the blood, which was in the movie too. But all the losers were there. But in the book, only most of them were. So yeah, and then they help them, and they help her like clean the blood, and like they help her like clean like put all put all the dirty rags in the laundry. So yeah, that scene was really cool too. So let me think, is there any other scene with Bev? Oh yeah, I just really love how like she's always she likes being with Bill a lot too. So yeah. Oh yeah, I love that scene with the rock fight where like she's really like yeah, and like she gets hurt, and then Ben like goes over and just beats the shit out of Henry, and then like he's getting the rocks and like hitting him with it, and like they're all bleeding in that scene. So yeah, that scene was really cool with the apocalyptic rock fight. Was amazing. Like they were throwing like little rocks at each other, and like they were bleeding and all of that, and they were bleeding from their tongue because like they would bite it and because they would trip. So yeah, and then like that scene was just really cool. Like they were all beat up in that scene and all sweaty. So yeah, I love that scene so much. So yeah. Let me think. Is there any other scene about Bev? I should say, yeah. I think that's a lot about Bev. And then like towards the end of the book, this was probably the most famous scene of the entire book. Even if people haven't read it, they still know about this scene. There's this scene involving an orgy of children. Now this scene, I don't really have a huge problem with it. I can still read it with no problem. I can still read it with no problem, no problem. Like, I can still read it. Like, a lot of people, like, tend to skip over that scene a lot. But, like, I can still read it with no problem. Like, I don't really have a huge problem with it. I can see where it comes from. I can definitely see where Beverly's coming from doing that. To, like, keep the group together and all of that. And, like, have them, like, be able to escape the sewers. Because, like, when they were done defeating it, like, they find themselves trapped in the sewers. So, like, they can't find their way out. So like, Beverly thinks that, like, love and desire will make them come out of the sewers. And make them like and calm them down from like freaking out and all of that, and like make the group keep being together and all that. So yeah, that was a pretty necessary scene in my opinion. I can easily get why they wouldn't put that scene in either adaptation. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure everyone does too. So yeah, but that scene I have zero problem with at all. But it's just pretty awkward where that came from. But I can definitely see where she's coming from doing that. But yeah, that scene was pretty enjoyable too. I'm not saying it in a creepy way. I'm just saying I still really enjoy that scene. So yeah, I just have zero problem with that scene. So yeah, and then after that they find their way out of the sewers, and then like they do the, and then this was I'll get to this scene once I talk about Stanley. So yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else about Bev? And then once Bev grows up, she becomes a little more different. I think she becomes she designs clothing. She designs like cloths and shirts and all of that with her husband Tom Rogan, and her husband Tom Rogan what is like exactly what her father was like, which both Eddie and Beverly both married to the same people that their parents were like. Like, Tom Rogan is exactly like her father was. He would abuse her physically and sexually all the time, like, and always he would always punch her and slap her whenever she would smoke and all of that, and she would just abuse her all the time. And like, but like she still really still wanted to be with Tom and all of that. But yeah, I already talked about Tom earlier in the review. So yeah, and that was really, really dark too, that like she had to stay with Tom and all of that. And like, oh yeah, this was a really cool scene where like when she leaves Chicago, Illinois, leaving from Tom, like Tom like wants to beat her up. Like, I think he does like beat her up a little bit, but then like Beverly like stands up for herself and beats him up and throws the thing of cream at his face, and then like she leaves, and then she goes to the airport. And then from that scene, wait, no, she doesn't go to the airport. Like, when she leaves, like, she forgot her wallet and she forgot all her money. So like she doesn't want to go back to the apartment. So like she goes to her friend Kay. I think that was her name. Her name was Kay, and like Kay gives her money and like makes her go to has her go to the airport and all of that. But then Tom like goes over to Kay's house because he knows that Kay and her were like best friends. And then like that scene was really dark where like Kay like beats the shit out of, like, Tom beats the shit out of Kay in her apartment home. Like, no, like in her house. Like, he's beating her up all over, and she's like making this huge mess in the house. And then like Kay, like, he's just like, Kay's like really beat up, but like he's still beating up a girl. And that scene was just really dark. So yeah, and then like Kay's just really beat up, and she's like, okay, I'll tell you where she's at. And then she tells her, and then that's what makes Tom follow her. And then yeah, I already talked about that scene earlier in the review. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else about Beverly? I think, and then like Beverly, like when she goes back to to Derry, like she becomes kind of different than she was as a child, like pretty different. Like she becomes like the exact, like this would definitely be her as an adult. So yeah, and like Ben like continues to fall in love with Beverly, and like Beverly like falls in love with Bill in that scene too, and like as an adult, and she sleeps with him too in that scene. So when they're adults, so yeah, so Beverly like definitely falls in love with Bill too, and like she's like oh yeah, that's what I really love about when they're adults too. Like they have a really hard time remembering from when they were kids, and when they do, it's really traumatizing them, and it's really scaring them, and it's really like giving them so much anxiety, like really like scaring them so much, them remembering all that as children. So yeah, just like that, those scenes were really cool, and they should have got so much more emotion with that in It Chapter 2. So yeah, there was just so much emotion with remembering their past. So yeah, and that was a really cool thing too, for Beverly remembering a lot of her past too. So yeah. And then and then like she falls in love with Bill, but then little by little she starts falling in love with Ben. So yeah, so Beverly was really cool as an adult too. So yeah, and then we go on to Mike Hanlon. Now Mike Hanlon, he was a really good character too. Mike Hanlon, I think he was the one with like one of the most character developments in this whole book. He even has his own chapters a lot too. Like there are these sequences called the Derry interlude sequences where they're being told through his first person perspective. Like they're being told through first person, but through Mike's perspective, and it's his diaries, like what he's writing when he's like in Derry, like before like when it's coming back, when it's barely back, before he calls all the losers. Like it's his like diary of like a lot of what he's been living in Derry, and he has a really dark life as an adult. Like he really like hates living in Derry, and like he's so poor in Derry, and like he feels suicidal too, and that's really sad. And then yeah, and like in those diaries too, like he finds out a lot. Like he's the one to find out a lot about Pennywise's backstory, and like I forgot to mention this too, that like when I was talking about Pennywise, that Pennywise like causes a lot of histories in Derry, like every 27 years. I how could I have forgotten to mention that when I was talking about him? He causes history every 27 years. And then he goes into hibernation until then, and then he comes back another 27 years. So yeah, and Mike Hanlon's the one to realize that, and he's the one to realize that like there's been a lot of bad shit happening to Derry, like the ironworks explosion in the 1900s, and then the smoke hole burned down in 1932 or 1929. Yeah, it was 1929 when the smoke hole got burned down. And like, oh yeah, this was a really cool scene with the smoke hole. Where like Mike remembers when he was a kid, and his father tells him about the smoke hole, and Mike's father was a witness to the smoke hole, the black spot burned down, and like it was like this, like the black spot was this really, it was a really dark scene with the black spot. Like it was burned down by this like racist team called the Legion of White Deaconcy. So yeah, and then like they burned down the black spot because like the black spot was like the nightclub that black people would always love staying in, and the Legion of White Deaconcy were just all white people. And yeah, and they burned that down while all the white people were while all the black people were having a fun time in the nightclub. But Mike's dad and Dick Halloran make it out alive, and that was a cool thing too. Dick Halloran from The Shining is in this book, and he was a witness to the Black Spot nightclub. So yeah, and like he was friends with Mike's dad, and that was really cool. So yeah, I love that whole reference with Dick Halloran. So yeah, and that was a really scary scene too. So yeah. Mike definitely, I think he has the most character development in the book, but in the adaptations they completely ruin that, and they give him one of the least amount of character development. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else I should say about Mike? Yeah, as a kid, he lived with his father. He had a farm. He had a farm with his father, and like he had a dog, but Henry killed him because he poisoned him. So yeah, and then like that really gets Mike to hate Henry even more. So yeah, and then like Mike, what else is there about Mike? And then Mike, like he's just this regular outdoor person, but he's such an outcast, like. Cause Mike is the only black person in Derry, and like everyone hates him for that, including Henry. So yeah, and Mike just really had a really dark past with other people out of his family and out of the Losers Club. So yeah, but his family still really loved him though. So yeah, and like he would just always love exploring Derry and all that. So yeah, and like once he. And then he was the one to know he was the first one to know about the Derry's backstory. So yeah, and then what is there what is there about Mike? And then like Mike is the last one to join the losers club. So yeah, and then like Mike like shares all the stuff with the losers, and I love all the scenes with him and the losers. Like he's always with the losers, and I love this scene where like when they're going down in the smoke hole, they're all saying "I love you, Beverly," and then Mike's like, yeah, that scene was really cool. I forgot to mention that where they're like "I love you, Beverly," and then like Mike was like, I love you. I don't really know you well enough to love you, but he's like, I love you. Yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else about Mike? Yeah, Mike was really cool too. Yeah, he was just a really cool character too. So yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else about Mike as a child? Let me think. Yeah, Mike was like the one to like show them more about it, like I said, and then like Mike was the one to like really wanted to help them out to defeat it too, and he was really eager on defeating it too. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else about Mike I should say? I think that's all about Mike. So yeah. Yeah, just Mike was really cool too. So yeah, and then there is Stanley Uris. Stanley Uris, I think he's the one with the least amount of character development in all the Losers Club, and they completely do that right with the adaptations too. But with the first movie, they gave him some character development, but here he barely has any character development. But all there is that he's a Jew. He's a Jew, and he's always like doing these bar mitzvahs in the dairy like church. So yeah, but there's never a scene where like it shows him doing bar mitzvahs. He just mentions it that he does bar mitzvahs. So yeah, and then like Richie does stereotypical Jewish jokes to him. So yeah, and like Stan, like he was really cool too. He was really silent too. He was yeah, like I said, he was the one with the least character development, but he was still really cool though. And yeah, and then like as an adult, as an adult, like he barely even has any character development as an adult. But as an adult, he does not come back to Derry. He kills himself. Like he cuts his wrist in the bathtub because he was way too scared to fight it again. Because like he was the one. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, like he was the one that was the most scared of it actually. He was the one most scared of it, and like that was a really cool character development too, that he was the one most scared of him. So that's why he cut his wrist in the bathtub. So yeah. Yeah, so yeah, he was a pretty good character too, and that was just really sad when he cut his wrist in the bathtub, and like his wife like was like so like, cause like the door was locked, and the wife was like, why is the door locked? He never locks the door unless he's using toilet. He never locks the door when he showers. So and all this stuff, and then like she's just really scared, like what's happening to him, and then she opens the door and she screams when she sees Stan dead in the bathtub, and like it says "it" on the wall. So yeah, that was a really dark moment. So yeah, so Stanley was a pretty good character too. So yeah. And then okay, I think that's all the losers. And then we go to the bullies. The bullies to this in this are really scary and really crazy. So yeah, like Henry Bowers, he's a really crazy dude. He's really crazy. He's one of the craziest people in Derry, but not the craziest. The craziest is another one of the bullies that I'll get to in a bit. So yeah, Henry was just really crazy. So yeah, Henry, like he's willing to like kill a lot of the children, and like he's always bullying the children, and like he's like a failing student in school. Like he's always taking summer school every year. He just fails a lot. So yeah, and then like he just loves like torturing the kids, and like loves like like stabbing them and all of that. He's just really crazy. So yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else about Henry? Oh yeah, Henry, like he's like during the apocalyptic rock fight was a really cool. Oh yeah, there was this really cool scene with Henry and the bullies where like after Richie, Bev, and Ben come out of the theater from seeing I Was a Teenage Werewolf, they get attacked by the bullies, but then they go through the alleyway and they attack them with the trash can caps, the caps of the trash can. Like they attack them with that, and they stand up for themselves in that scene. And that scene was really cool. And then there was another cool scene like that where Henry is chasing after Mike all throughout a lot of Derry, and then like he's chasing him through the train yards, and like Mike is like throwing rocks at him a lot, and he's taking off his shirt because it's so hot, and like he uses it as like a weapon because he puts rocks in there or something like that. So yeah. And then like he's just running a lot, and then like yeah, he's running a lot, and then like he runs into the losers, and that's what makes him meet the losers. It's the losers in this gravel pit. So yeah, and then like the losers all stand up for themselves and defeat the bullies and throw rocks at them. I already mentioned that scene. So yeah, and then from there that really gets the bullies really pissed, and then that's what really makes them want to go after the kids even more. And then there's this really dark scene where Henry and the bullies are chasing after Eddie, and then they break Eddie's arm. That scene was really dark, where they break Eddie's arm, and like he has a cast throughout most of his most of the times as a kid. So yeah, that scene was just really dark where they broke Eddie's arm. Like they raised his arm and twisted and like broke his wrist. So yeah, that scene was just really dark. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else I should say? Oh yeah, just Henry was just really crazy. So yeah, Henry was really cool. So and he had a really dark past life too. Like he would get bullied by his father a lot. His father was like this junkie. He would drink all the time. He was such an alcoholic. He would just sit in the chair and watch TV and all of that. And and then Henry even had a stepmom. So yeah, and then like he just had a pretty dark life. And then like his father would just always abuse him and all of that. So yeah, and then like I love this scene where like what was I saying? What was I saying? Oh yeah, Henry. Is there anything else about Henry I should say? Yeah, I love this scene where Henry like where it orders Henry to like hunt down the losers and chase them down into the sewer so he can get them and all of that. So yeah, and then like Henry's willing to kill them in that scene too. So yeah, and that scene was really dark too. But before that, he says that it came in the mail. Like he found his knife in the mail, and then like he kills his father in that scene, and then like he has all his friends go with him to try to kill all the losers and all of that, and like and then like Henry's like has Beverly on his leash, and like he's gonna stab her, but then she kicks him in the balls. And that's another thing, the balls is like where he gets hurt at most of the times in this book. So yeah, he and then he even says so in the book too. He's like, shit, the balls have been a really easy target this summer. Yeah, let me think. Is there anything else about Henry? So yeah, that was just a really crazy scene where he had to chase down all the losers, and then like Ben and Bev like hide in the underground hideout, and like they're trying really hard to like escape from them, and like they barely escape, and then they go to the losers, and they're like, Henry's gone mad and all this shit and all of that, and then like they go down the sewers, but like they're being chased by the bullies a lot, and then like the bullies are right behind them. They're like, teach you to throw rocks, and then they're calling Mike the N-word, and they're calling them all the crazy names they call all of them. So yeah, and then like once they go there, it is implied that like during that scene, it came in the sewer and ate all of Henry's friends, but left Henry to survive, and he just ran away. And like from there, Henry like he does what was it? Henry he as an adult like once he goes back, they jail him in this asylum called Juniper Hills or something like that. Yeah, Juniper Hills shows up in a lot of Stephen King books too. So yeah, and like once that scene happens, Henry has been staying in that asylum for 27 years. So yeah, and once he's an adult, he starts hearing voices from it again in the moon, and that scene was really creepy when Pennywise's face appears on the moon, and then he's just always telling him to kill them all. So yeah, and then Victor Chris shows up under his bedroom, under his bed, like all eaten up and all of that. And I think in that scene where he ate all the losers, he turned into Frankenstein's monster. So yeah, and in that scene, like he tells him to go back to Derry and finish the job, and then like Pennywise like eats. It is implied that Pennywise either eats or scares one of the asylum guards by turning into a dog. So yeah, that scene was really creepy. And then from there, like Henry's gonna finish the job, and he's gonna try to like kill the losers again, because like he's just getting all these like he feels like he's going crazy, like he's really crazy, and he wants to like get rid of all this craziness by killing the losers, because it's been traumatizing him for 27 years. So when he kills the losers, it'll make him feel better, he thinks. So yeah, and so once he goes there, he's gonna try to kill the losers. So yeah, he's gonna go to there and try to kill them. And then like these were just some really emotional scenes and really crazy scenes where like he tries to kill the losers, and he tackles Mike, and then like he almost kills Mike, and he badly injures Mike, and Mike badly injures him too with like a letter opener knife. And yeah, they both use knives in that scene. So yeah, that scene was really emotional. And before that happened, Mike was like, holy shit, Henry, I thought you were dead and all this stuff. And like, but before Henry came in, like Mike was like, could this be Stan back from the dead and all that. And yeah, that scene was really emotional. So yeah, and then like after that, like Henry's like going through Derry by Pennywise like having this Christine car, like the same car from Christine, the other movie by Stephen King. So yeah, but Belch is in there, and then he's like he takes him to the Derry townhouse, and he tells him to like and she shows him like all the room numbers that the losers are staying in, and just tackles Eddie and all. He tackles Eddie, and that scene was really dark where he tackles Eddie, but Eddie like Eddie's like really shocked when he sees him, and then like Eddie like gets like a piece of like a broken bottle, and then he literally like stabs Henry's stabbed wound from when Mike stabbed him, and he opens it so much, and he like puts it all in there, I think. And then that scene was really dark, and that was a really just disgusting and dark way for Henry to die. So yeah, Henry was just a really chilling character. So yeah, he was just a really scary character. So yeah. And then we go on to Belch. Belch Huggins. Belch and Victor didn't really have much character development in this movie, but it is implied that Belch really loved softball and all of that, and he would always like do this like weird softball thing and all of that Eddie was really scared of or something like that. I forgot what that scene was, but yeah. Yeah, Belch, he had some character development, and then with that, and then like he always wear these T-shirts and all of that, which was a really cool Easter egg in the movie too. So yeah, and like Belch, like he would always like have this burp, like this is why they would call him Belch. Belch's real name was Reginald, but they would call him Belch because he had this really big belch that he would belch on everyone's ears. So yeah. Belch was a pretty cool bully too, and I just love how like he's always on Henry's side. He's always like doing everything that Henry asks him to. But at times Belch does kind of have a heart. So yeah, and I really like Victor Chris too. Victor didn't even have any character development, but he was still a pretty good character too. He was like another bully, and he was just like always next to Henry's side. So yeah, and then Patrick Hockstetter. Patrick Hockstetter was the craziest person in all of Derry. He was crazier than Henry actually. Patrick Hockstetter, he was another one of those minor characters that got a lot of character development too. So yeah, Patrick Hockstetter, he was really crazy. He had his own chapter actually. Another one of the deaths of Patrick Hockstetter. So yeah, that scene was just really chilling. Like we get a lot of backstory to Patrick that like he had when he was like 8 years old, he had a baby brother. He was crazy when he was 8 years old. Like, he had a baby brother, but he killed his baby brother. Like, he suffocated his baby brother, like, in the pillow. And that scene was really dark. So, yeah, so he was crazy since day one. So, yeah. And, like, he, like, even had, like, this lunchbox that he kept dead flies in there that he would kill with the ruler, and he would show a lot of people that, and that was really dark. And like he even had this refrigerator that he would take animals in and just keep them in there alive so they could starve to death. So yeah, that scene's just really dark. So yeah, and then like there's this really weird scene with him where like he whacks off Henry, and that scene was just really weird in my opinion. I don't think that scene needed to be there actually. That's the only scene that grosses me out, and the only scene I wish that wasn't in there. The whack off with Henry and Patrick. So yeah, that scene was just really weird. So yeah, and then like Henry seems to like it, and then like Patrick's like, I'll put it in my mouth if you want, I don't mind. And then Henry like shoves him, and he's like, you liked it, you got the biggest boner I've ever saw, and all this shit, and it's just really weird. So yeah. And then Henry's just like, don't tell anyone I liked it. If you tell anyone this happened, I will kill you. And then Patrick's like, you don't scare me, Henry. So, and all this stuff. So yeah, and Patrick's death was really satisfying actually. Patrick like goes to his refrigerator door. I think he opens it, and then like a bunch of leeches, like a bunch of giant flying leeches come toward Patrick and like tackle him all over his body and suck his blood all over. And that scene was really dark. So yeah, they just tackle him everywhere, and that scene was just really dark. So yeah, they're all just sucking his blood, and you know that it's Pennywise. So yeah, this was another one of the scariest scenes too, like them tackling Patrick too. So yeah, that scene was really scary. So yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else I should say? Yeah, and then like all his blood is like really sucked out, and like his eye is like bleeding all over, and that scene was just really dark. And then like Pennywise drags Patrick to the sewer and then eats him. And then Beverly was actually watching all of that happen, even the hand job part, and she was really grossed out too. So yeah, even Beverly was watching in that scene too, and she was really scared with that scene too. So yeah, let me think. Is there anything else I should say? Yeah, I think that's all the boys, and then there was these other people named Moose and Peter Gordon. They didn't even have much character development, but Moose was like this mentally challenged bully. So yeah, and Peter Gordon didn't even have any character development besides that he had a girlfriend and all that. So yeah, I think that's it. Let me think. The setting to this movie. The setting was, I mean, not movie, but the setting to the book was amazing. Actually, I mentioned this before. You feel like you're living in Derry. So yeah. The just Derry just feels really real. So yeah, and then like they did an excellent job adapting Derry in both adaptations of this book. So yeah, and then the let me think the yeah let me think. Is there anything else I should say? The pacing to this book was amazing. I think this is the book that I mostly go back to reread the most. Like there's only like two. I think there's like two or I think there's only like two or three books that I love that I go back to reread only. I think that's the Watchmen comic book, the Shining book, and It. So yeah, and it's the one I mostly go back to reread a lot. I've read this book like six or seven times actually, and yeah. Let me think. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, this book goes by really fast. This book is 1,154 pages, and it goes by really fast. So yeah, and it takes me only like 1 to 2 weeks to finish this book. So yeah, the pacing is amazing. So yeah. And I just love how this book is paced too. This book is like mostly is like being told through the adult's perspective, but then it flips to the kid's perspective. Kid's perspective, adult's perspective. Kid's perspective, adult's perspective. Like it just goes back and forth, and that is amazing. So yeah, I've never read a book like that actually. Stephen King has tackled some of that with some of his book, but not as much as here. With like the beginning of the book, he tackled that, but with the whole book being like this, he never tackled ever again, and that is really amazing. So yeah, let me think. This book was really suspenseful, and it really works so much. So yeah, Stephen King definitely had so much of a heart with making this book. So yeah. So earlier in the review, I said I was going to tell you guys the theme to this book. The very big theme to this book is definitely the magic of childhood. How children can see and accept things that adults can. How they, can accept things that adults can't. Like, they know a lot of stuff that adults can, and they can see a lot of things that adults can. Because, when you tell kids, hey, guys, let's band together to kill the shape-shifting monster, they'll just be like, okay, yeah, we can do that. We know how to do that. Let's just get some weapons, and we can do that. So, yeah, a lot of kids are like that, but with the dolls, they'd be like, no, I'm afraid I'll die. And then you'll have to convince them that this stuff is real, because, a lot of the stuff in this book, all the adults in this book, I forgot to mention earlier that a lot of the adults in this book, when Pennywise does stuff or when he appears, the adults, act like he's not there, but they know he's there, but they just act like he's not there. They just pretend it's not there because it's so bad that they don't want to believe it. So, yeah. So, the adults here don't want to believe in any of this, but the kids are the ones that mostly believe it. So, yeah. And then once the kids turn into adults, they become the only adults in there to believe it, and that's amazing. So, yeah. Let me think. What else was I gonna say? Is there anything else I should say? That's basically the main theme. Is just the magic of childhood. How children can really accept things that adults can't. So yeah. And then the way this book ends is really, really satisfying. Pennywise's death was just really satisfying, and there was a lot of sad moments in this fight in this scene too. Eddie dies because Pennywise eats the arm that was broken from him when he was a little, and then he dies from there with losing so much blood. So yeah, that scene was just really, really sad. And then from there, that's what really gets the losers to chase them. Beverly, Mike is not there because he's in the hospital, but during that scene too, there's this really big storm happening in Derry too, this really big rainstorm and all of that, and Mike is being tagged by one of the doctors, I think. And then this whole storm going around in Derry that's really flooding the sewers too. So yeah. And then in that scene Beverly stays with Eddie to accompany him because he's losing so much blood and all of that. And then Bill, Ben, and Richie go to try to go and fight it because they use the ritual of Chud on him again. But then he's running away again. But they're going to finish the job. But as soon as they're running, they see so much eggs laid, and it shows that Pennywise is a girl. And it's just holy shit, he's a girl. And then he's laying so much eggs, and then Ben agrees to stay there. Ben agrees to stay right there to squish all the eggs. So yeah, and Ben just stays there to squish all the eggs, and that was a really cool thing for Ben to do. So yeah, and then Bill and Richie are the only ones to go over and kill it. They kill it the same way as in the It 1990 miniseries. They push him, and then they go inside his blood and take out all his blood and take out his heart, and yeah, and that scene was really amazing. So yeah, and then the way this book ends with everyone going back to their homes, and Ben and Beverly are now in love now, and then and then like Richie goes back to doing a radio show host. Like they all visit Mike, and then they go back, and then Bill was the last one to leave, and he rescues Audra, because like Audra, like Tom brought him there, and like Audra stayed inside the Macroverse. But then like this was a really, really beautiful and satisfying ending. Bill rides his bike all over town, and then the silver bike all over town from when he was a kid. He rides it, and then like his wife like gets better from It's Dead. Like she stops being paranoid, and she stops being like that, and like she becomes better. And she's like, Bill, where are we? Where are we? What are we doing? And he's like, you're back and all of that. And then they stop like next to a brick wall, and then Audra's like, all I can remember is just getting off the airport and going in the townhouse, and that's it. And then she's like, Bill, are you still stuttering? And then Bill's like, no, my stutter is gone. She's like, for good? For good. And that was such a beautiful ending, and then it ends with like Bill saying that maybe he might write a book like this and all of that. So yeah, just really, really satisfying ending. So yeah, I love this book to death. This is my favorite book of all time. So yeah, to rate this book, I'll definitely rate it an A+. So yeah, I love this book to death. I rate it an A+. So yeah, I guess that'll be the end of it. So bye, and see you all in the next review.